The Palestinians could have easily gone into the museum of X nations, but led by President Arafat at the time, they decided that they would not go quietly into that good night and that they would make a stand, and by resisting would continue to exist. I'd be lying if I said to you that I thought that the Palestinian situation was anytime soon, or even not remotely soon, going to be resolved. You see, apartheid collapsed in South Africa, and I was also very heavily involved in that struggle. I was arrested in Guguletu Township in Cape Town, and took a bit of a beating in the jail there. And the policeman who beat me was forced to make a public apology to me under the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in front of a very large crowd in Cape Town. It was a very good day, actually. But the apartheid collapsed in South Africa because the Boers decided that the game was up. They had always said they were in favor of peace, but they were never prepared to pay the price of peace, which was justice and equality. Here in the north, the settlers always said they wanted peace, but they were never, and some of them are still not, and Dodds is one of them, prepared to pay the price of peace, which is equality and justice. In Israel, the settlers are getting more and more extreme. When I first came into this Palestinian issue in 1975, in the midsummer of 1975, there was a Labour, so-called Labour government in power in Israel. Now the Labour Party has about 8 MPs in the Israeli parliament. And each Israeli government has got more and more extreme and more dedicated to denying justice for the Palestinian people. That's not likely to end anytime soon. So as I said about the seaborne flotilla that we're sending, I'm a religious person. I believe there's a judgment day, and I believe I have to answer on that judgment day for what I did, not for what the other side did. They have to answer for what they did. My duty is, or my interview will be about what I did. And the Palestinians, I think, are in the same boat. They can't wait for the settlers who've occupied their country to come to terms with them. They have to go on resisting until the price of denying them their freedom becomes too high. And the settlers either leave, as many of them will, in my view, or come to terms. I believe that we should fight for one state between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea, where all the Jews, the Muslims and the Christians live as equal citizens before the law. One man, one woman, one vote, one government. It was good enough for South Africa, why not for Palestine?
The peace process here is nearly taken on probably over-exaggerated mythical proportions, but it is, a good example, and lots of people are coming to us. We're travelling about talking about this, and no conflict or struggle can be put down on top of another. Do you have a view? Maybe it's a hard enough question, but do you have a view of some areas in the world where you think the so-called intractable problems will more easily be dealt with? Do you think the hardest problem is Palestine, or do you have a view about any of that?
Well, I think the hardest problem is Palestine, because the settlers there have the absolute backing of the world's greatest superpower, which pays all their bills and gives them all their weapons and gives them absolute diplomatic and political protection. If the matter was between the Palestinians and the Israelis alone, or between the 300 million Arabs and the 6 million Israelis, it would have been over long ago. But because the settlers there, and by the way, it's an interesting quote, I don't know if you've heard it. When the British, of course, as they did in so many other parts of the world, were the authors of this whole tragedy. In the building in which I've sat for the last 23 years in the British Parliament, Mr. Balfour made the Balfour Declaration which set this whole thing up in the first place. And in the codicil to that declaration, he said, because nobody should imagine that he made that declaration because he liked Jews. As a matter of fact, he hated Jews. He was an anti-Semite. But he said that if we found this state of Israel, it'll be a loyal little Ulster in the middle of the Arab world. And that's exactly the colonial mentality that they had in mind. And it's been absolutely successful for the last 100 years. But I believe it will fall one day, and that justice will prevail. The Palestinian people are absolutely committed to doing it. They will never surrender. This is the key thing, and it was true here also. No surrender is the slogan of the other side. But in fact, the people who would never surrender here were the majority of people on this island who believe in Irish unity and independence. And the Palestinians are exactly the same.
Let me, I suppose to bring it to a close, ask two questions which are connected to yourself. One is about your future, and the other one is to tell us what you think is going to happen in Britain in terms of the election and the way politics is going there over the next few months.
Well, it's very interesting. Today's opinion poll in the News of the World predicts an outcome of a majority of 2 seats, a difference of 2 seats just, between Labour and the Conservatives. And as I told you earlier, we hope to win 3 seats. So my missus said to me last night, what would that mean for us? I said, it means I'm the Foreign Secretary. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting Parliament, and I hope that I'm in it. The Tories had the election in their hands, and they've lost it. They're not going to win an overall majority. And Labour, New Labour, has been well, to call it a massive disappointment would be a huge understatement. Inequality in Britain is wider than it was when Charles Dickens wrote Oliver Twist. That's a fact, that's an official statistic. The trade unions in Unite are unable to win their dispute because the baggage handlers and the other workers in the company are not able to take solidarity action because they're on a separate contract because of anti-union laws introduced by Margaret Thatcher. And New Labour has done absolutely nothing to change them. Labour has invaded and occupied countries around the world. Tony Blair took Britain into more wars in fewer years than any ruler in British history, royal or common. And that's really saying something, because Britain's been at war for about the last 350 years. Now,
it's slightly shorter than that.
Yeah. So, Labour has been terrible, but people know in their heart that the Tories would be worse. They would be, no, they would be, trust me. The Tories have not changed. They will govern entirely and exclusively in the interests of the rich and the powerful. Their foreign policy will be no different, but their domestic policy will beggar working people in Britain even more than New Labour has. So I've got every reason to hate New Labour, but I hope that Gordon Brown survives as Prime Minister, because David Cameron would be much, much worse.
Well, George, we hope and know that you will survive. Definitely, things, political life would be much different without you. Yeah, I might come over and see you, but just not Westminster. So thank you very much for coming here. We're delighted to have you. And a big bill of us for George.
Thank you. Vote for Gerry Kelly and vote often.